A compassionate waitress paid for an elderly man's coffee, unaware he was a billionaire seeking a genuine heart. The downtown cafe thrummed with morning life, rain drumming softly against its broad windows, smearing the city into a hazy blur. The warm scent of fresh coffee blended with the damp tang of rain-soaked streets, wrapping patrons in a cozy refuge from the dreary weather. Amid the clink of cups and hum of voices, the door swung open, ushering in a chilly gust and a man in his early 50s. His threadbare coat dripped onto the polished floor, scuffed shoes leaving faint marks. Salt and pepper hair clung wetly to his forehead, and his weary eyes carried the weight of unspoken struggles. He approached the counter with hesitation, scanning the menu before settling on the barista, a young man with a sharp jaw and sharper tongue. In a near whisper, he ordered a black coffee. As the barista rang it up, the man's hands searched his pockets, growing frantic. His face paled and voice trembled with embarrassment. "I'm sorry," he stammered. "I must have left my wallet at home. Could I just sit here until the rain eases?" The barista smirked, arms crossed. "This isn't a shelter, buddy," he said, loud enough to turn heads. "No cash, no stay. We don't do handouts." The man's cheeks burned crimson, and he stepped back, eyes dropping. "I wasn't asking for a free drink," he murmured, "just a place to stay dry." A snide chuckle rose from a nearby table where well-dressed patrons watched with smug amusement. "No shame at all," one sneered. "Strolling in here penniless, expecting service. Times must be tough when beggars think they're cafe critics," another added, voice thick with disdain. The man turned toward the door, shoulders hunched under the weight of their words. Across the room, Emma, a 29-year-old waitress with auburn hair tied loosely back, watched the exchange. Her hazel eyes, usually warm, flared with quiet indignation. Balancing a tray heavy, empty cups, she wove through the crowded tables, set the tray down with a sharp clatter, and pulled a crumpled $5 bill from her apron. She placed it firmly on the counter. "That's enough," she said, her voice clear and steady, slicing through the murmurs. The barista's smirk faltered. "Emma, what are you doing?" he scoffed. "You don't need to cover for this guy. He can't expect freebies." Emma's gaze swept the room, unyielding. "I'm paying for his coffee," she said, "not out of pity, but because I know what it's like to be judged for not having enough." A mocking laugh burst from the corner. "How noble," a man jeered. "The waitress playing savior, hoping for a tip from a bum?" Emma turned, her posture resolute. "Kindness isn't a transaction," she declared, her voice ringing with conviction. "Belittling someone, that's what shows true smallness." The cafe fell silent, the earlier scorn replaced by a heavy pause. Emma turned back to the man, her expression softening. "Please, seat," she said gently. "I'll bring your coffee. Don't let their words define you." The man met her gaze, eyes shimmering with gratitude. He nodded and shuffled to a window table where rain streaked the glass. As Emma prepared his coffee, the room's atmosphere shifted. Patrons avoided her eyes, their amusement giving way to quiet reflection. In that moment, Emma, with her modest means and fierce heart, stood as a beacon of dignity, and the man, dismissed by others, found solace in being seen. The incident lingered as Emma cleared her last table. Whispers and glances clung like damp air. The next morning, her manager, Brian, summoned her to his office, reeking of burnt coffee and bleach. "Close the door," he said, arms crossed. Emma complied, standing tall. "This is a business, Emma," Brian snapped, "not your personal charity. You don't get to hand out freebies." "I paid for it," she said calm. "Coworker and upset customers. He embarrassed himself," Emma replied, voice steady. "I did what was right." "Don't push me," Brian warned. "You're here to serve, not preach." A beat of silence. "Can I go?" she asked. "Get out," he said, "and know your place." In the kitchen, coworkers Marcy and Josh fell silent as she entered. As she passed, Marcy muttered, "Must be nice playing hero while splitting rent with your sister." Josh snickered. Bet she thought he was a secret millionaire. Emma ignored them, grabbed her coat, and stepped into the drizzle. The air smelled of wet pavement and city smoke. She didn't rush. Her apartment, shared with her sister Lily, was cramped, peeling paint, drafty windows. Lily lay on the couch, shivering under a blanket. "You're late," she murmured, coughing. "Caught in the rain," Emma said, offering a tired smile. She warmed leftover porridge, added a pinch of salt, and handed it to Lily. Her wallet held $3, a subway token, and a fa. Unmistakable, those of the rain-soaked man. Emma froze, her cloth gripped tightly. He took the same window seat, bypassing the counter. She approached with a menu, unsure whether to acknowledge him. Before she could speak, he looked up. "I'm not here to order, Emma," he said. "I have one question." Her breath caught. "Why did you help me?" "I couldn't watch it happen," she said, setting the menu aside. "You weren't begging. You were being made small. I know that feeling." He gestured to the seat across from him. She sat. "When I was 17, she said, my mom collapsed in a market. People ignored her, except one woman who stayed. I promised I'd be like her." He listened, unwavering. "You kept that promise," he said softly. They talked, books, music, the cruelty of judgment. Emma answered honestly, her curiosity unguarded. Time slipped away, the cafe's noise fading. She laughed, a real laugh, and said, "You're not what I expected." "What did you expect?" he asked, smiling. "Someone who'd say thanks and leave," she admitted. "I've had wealth for years," he said, "but few have made me feel human. You did." Emma stayed silent, his words sinking deep. They were just two people, not defined by titles, but by shared humanity. A week later, an envelope arrived. No return address, just heavy ivory paper with Emma L. Bennett, guest of Charles H. Evelyn, in gold script. It invited her to the Ainsley Hotel, a world of marble and chandeliers far beyond her own. She almost didn't go, but curiosity and a strange pull led her there, in a borrowed blouse and trembling hands. The concierge guided her to a 21st floor lounge, opulent with leather chairs and soft jazz. Charles entered, his presence commanding yet warm, no assistants in sight. "Thank you for coming," he said, gesturing to a table with tea and espresso. "This isn't a cafe," Emma said, half smiling. "No," he chuckled. "I owe you honesty. I'm Charles H. Evelyn, founder of Evelyn Holdings. It's like when someone gives to you." That night, Emma lay awake, rain tapping the window, her mother's words echoing. "Don't wait for life, Emma. Find it." By dawn, she'd decided. She packed a journal, a sweater, and a book, leaving Lily a note and a long hug. At the station, Emma boarded the train, heart wavering between doubt and hope. Charles waited in the cabin, a book open, 2 coffees ready. "I didn't think you'd come," he said, smiling warmly. "I didn't either," she replied, sitting. "But the world doesn't change if you stay still." "I'm not offering wealth," he said, "just a chance to not walk alone." "Maybe we both needed that," she said, watching the city blur into trees. In Montreal, there were no luxuries, just villages, guest houses, and shelters Charles quietly supported. Emma saw him not as a billionaire, but as a man who remembered children's names and listened deeply. "Why hide who you are?" she asked at a food pantry. "They'd stop seeing me," he said. One night, in a Quebec cabin, they sat under stars, chamomile tea steaming. "I don't need love," Charles said. "I need someone who understands why I do what I do." "I don't know if I'm her," Emma said honestly. "But I'm more myself with you." He nodded, peaceful. Their bond wasn't physical. It was recognition, 2 souls finding resonance. Months later, Charles handed Emma a folder, a fund in her name for women like her. Not for you to run, he said. Just to exist because you did. I'm honored, she said, but I want to build something myself, through presence, not money. You already have, he said, pride in his eyes. Their connection wasn't romance or family, but a shared truth, enduring and undefined. I'll always be in your corner, he said, squeezing her hand. Rain fell as Emma stood across from her reborn cafe, built with volunteers and quiet support from Charles. The sign read, First Cup Cafe, kindness is free. A chalkboard declared, First cups on us. Another. Tables bore words, hope, trust, begin. A rain-soaked man entered, hesitant. The barista started to speak, but Emma intervened. A seat by the window? She asked softly. Something warm, he murmured. Let's make it peaceful, she said, smiling. Outside, Charles watched under an umbrella, nodded once, and vanished. At the opening, Emma spoke to a full room. Years ago, I bought a man a coffee. That $5 changed me. This cafe isn't about coffee. It's about presence. Kindness doesn't need a name. Just continuation. Here's to one cup at a time. The room cheered, music played, and a cup was poured for someone who needed it. Emma didn't chase wealth. She chose care. And that changed everything.